And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. Well, as most of you know, recently a North Charleston, South Carolina police officer, Michael Slager, shot and killed Walter Scott following a routine traffic stop. Mr. Scott was unarmed. His family will bury him tomorrow. Officer Slager has been charged with murder, but now, following the release of a new dash cam footage and statements from a new witness, the murder charge is being questioned. Why? Because in order for it to be considered first-degree murder, the act has to be premeditated. Was it premeditated? Geraldo Rivera shocked more than a few folks when he said this on Fox & Friends this morning.
The cop with his adrenaline pumping. Now he's been in a physical tussle. Now, the perpetrator has reached for the taser allegedly. Now it gives you the context of his blood boiling. He has done everything professional, and now he's had this civilian has dared to physically have this altercation with the officer. Put that in the officer's head now. I think it saves him from the murder rap.
Meanwhile, the man who recorded the video of Walter Scott being shot recounted what happened prior to shooting the video.
Well, before the video, I saw that he was trying to get away of the taser. And his reaction was just, to get away of the taser.
Was there a struggle over the taser that you saw? Were they fighting over it?
No, he never got the taser of the police.
That was, of course, NBC's Today Show. Heather, Walter Scott takes off out of the car. Officer follows him. Up until that point, from what we've seen from the dash cam video, it was very routine and the officer acted very professional. Now, does that take away the whole premeditated aspect of this?
It is impossible. No one can say. Geraldo can't say. I can't say. The only person who could say is the officer, but even he will probably never say.
There is a lot of video evidence here, though, like we've never seen in big cases like this.
But the thing is, Joe, the frustration that I always have with these cases is we try them in the media days after it happens. There's a reason that there is a delay between the act and the trial in the real justice system, because you have to get together evidence. You have to interview the people. You have to, today a second video came forward. There's going to be all kinds of that stuff. So no one can speak to what type of charges there should be, what will be the ultimate result, until all of that evidence has been brought forward and argued by both sides. The grand jury will get the evidence soon. It's going to go, I think, at the beginning of May is the next grand jury. They are going to put it before a grand jury, and then we'll see what kind of charges he's going to face. But for anyone, including Geraldo, to sort of say that they know what was in his head is really outside the realm of reality.
But that's cable news, though, right?
Well,
we speculate, we watch something, and we say, okay, this is what I think. I mean, that's what the entire industry is based on.
Everything Heather said is correct, but there are some other things that I would raise. For one thing, there are 12 people who are going to have a say, and that's a jury. And that's the say that matters. I'll be very surprised if the grand jury does not swear out an indictment for first-degree murder. Doesn't mean that that will ultimately be what he's convicted of. It can be the lesser included offense of manslaughter. What's somewhat fascinating in this case, most states have a second-degree murder charge, which covers when you do murder somebody in the heat of passion and it's not premeditated. South Carolina doesn't. They have murder one and they have manslaughter. What's interesting is murder one comes with life imprisonment or the death penalty. Right. Manslaughter can be as low as 2 years in jail up to 30 years in jail.
That's amazing.
But I'm not sure intent is going to be as big of a difference. Under the Supreme Court cases for policemen and women, it's different. It's a different standard.
Higher
it's defense
standard.
of yourself and others, and it's also under this Tennessee versus Garner case, the idea that if you think the person is running away and going to cause injury to someone else, you can actually shoot to kill.
That's going to be a
so
tough
that
argument
is going to be.
So let me a scenario, for instance, would be if Mr. Scott was running towards a playground and there's some kids there and had a weapon, but he had nothing.
He had no weapon, and he wasn't running towards the playground.
So what this police officer would have to argue is that during the time that they were fighting for the taser, he somehow had the impression in his mind, and it's his objective impression, not what we all think. His.
But we don't just believe him because he says it. Of course,
of
the
course.
jury has to decide.
And
how
the
credible
evidence
it is.
and other witnesses and the forensics and all of that. But if he's going to have to argue that he objectively believed that he was going to harm someone else, and that is why he shot. And I think that's a better argument than trying to say I didn't have intent.
But it doesn't look, from what we've seen, and there is always more to the story, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to successfully argue
I
that.
agree.
Yeah, look, I'm not a lawyer, but I would hate to see the reaction, what would happen to this country if he somehow gets off? Because,
Yeah,
well,
he's not getting
Listen,
off.
he's not getting off.
but
What-
even to your point, though, if he
Even
gets
if it's
2
manslaughter.
years,
Yeah.
Well,
I know.
look, I mean, that's probably unlikely if he's found guilty
It's
of
okay.
manslaughter as opposed to murder one. I seriously doubt a judge would
No, I.
put the sentence
Bill
that
Lesper.
low.
No, I have to completely defer to them because, like you, I'm not a lawyer, and I find this
but
conversation
we're human
interesting.
beings, and we watch that video, and we
the
do have a
thing-
reaction.
I think, but someone is going to have to answer for the fact, why did this guy fight or struggle with the police officer and then run away?
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, is probably where his defense is going to rest.
He's got a
If
problem,
that-
though, because we don't, first of all, you have two different eyewitnesses. One says there was a struggle, one says there wasn't.
Yeah.
Second is he had a taser in him.
Right. And we've got to leave it on that note. Anyway, coming up next, potluck time. This is the Daily Wrap, only on Newsmax.